Hello, everybody. Good evening. I'm just going to ask, if you're not on the panel, please, tonight, as a bit of housekeeping, please keep your cameras off and keep yourselves on mute. For everyone who'll be pitching, I'll be calling you up by name and asking you to spotlight your camera and to share your screen so that everyone will be able to see you. We will keep the panelists who are with us tonight, our expert angel investors. Their cameras will be on, so you'll be able to see their reactions throughout the pitches. One of the exciting bits for you. So guys, watch out. You might end up being screenshot by somebody along the way. We will also be recording tonight's session and hopefully sharing this out online afterwards, so you will be able to view back everything. For anyone who has not become aware of Othership before, Othership is a membership. We are here for freelancers, founders, and people who want to work from anywhere. We've been running for about 2.5 years now. We have workspaces, over 150 events a year that we run, an online Slack group where you can talk to some of the angels who will be on the panel tonight. You can meet other investors, founders, co-founders, freelancers, and small business owners. We're here to support you on your journey and help you grow through your business endeavors. We also offer perks out. One of them is with Angel Investment Network. You're able to get a discount. So if you're out fundraising at the moment and want to use the Angel Investment Network platform, I really encourage you to go and have a look over here onto our partners page. AJ, who is co-hosting with me tonight, will share a link down here. So thank you to Angel Investment Network for helping us make this event happen. And also to Seed Legal's, the other platform that we use religiously is Othership when we're going through our fundraising, a brilliant platform for going and doing your legal terms, but also for building out contracts, NDAs, and other documents you'll need as an early stage founder. We're huge supporters of both of them and them for us with our events, so we're really happy to be able to collaborate on both of them. So the next thing I will do is I'm going to ask the panel to just please introduce themselves out to everyone in the audience this evening and to our founders who will be pitching. And I'm going to start off, please, with Andrew. Oh, I think you're on mute, Andrew.
Sorry, I was fiddling. Hi, I'm Andrew Davidson. I'm a seed investor. I've been doing it for about 12 years. I've got 12 investments at the moment, spread across a number of sectors. And I particularly look at things in the pre-seed and seed space. 30 years investment banking experience before that. And I'm a shareholder of Othership.
Super, thank you, Andrew. I'll next go over to Elizabeth, please. Oh, Elizabeth, you're on. Yeah.
Yeah. Hi, I'm Liz Kennedy. I spent about 30 years in the city doing corporate finance with listed and AIM companies. I'm now a non-executive director, and I do quite a lot of angel investing. In particular with John McNicol, who will be coming up shortly at Kelvin Capital.
Brilliant, thank you, Liz. Next, I'll go over to John then, seeing as that was a fitting intro.
Good evening, John McNicol here. I'm a director of Kelvin Capital, and we run a syndicate of private investors who invest in technology companies with 16 in the portfolio. We're just completing on a transaction in one of our portfolio companies just now, and we completed on one just before Christmas and sold a business in December as well.
Brilliant, thank you, John. And I'm going to go next then to Sam.
Hi, good evening, everyone. I'm Sam Keisner. I run Go10X Ventures. We are early stage investors in tech businesses, so typically at kind of pre-seed stage. And we do so through our group of angel investors. And the way that we invest is once we make our investment, we then see our portfolio companies through our venture builder program, which then will take them to the seed stage. And we now have 5 businesses in our portfolio. So fairly new, but yeah, excited to hear everyone's pitches. Thank you.
Super, thank you, Sam. And then special one, this will be the first time we've actually had 5 panelists on tonight, and we're really excited to announce one of the VCs coming on board tonight. So I'm going to go over to Alice. Alice, you're next.
Hi, everyone. Really excited to be here. I'm Alice and I work at Fuel Ventures. We're a seed investor in tech businesses, so digital platforms, marketplaces, SaaS companies. Typically, we cover a range of different sectors. And I lead the SEIS fund at Fuel Ventures. So that's the earlier stage fund. And we invest ticket sizes of 150K. And also our later stage fund provide follow-on investment after about, on average, 12 months. Yeah, really excited to be here and can't wait to hear the pitches.
Thank you so much, Alice. So the first pitch for this evening is going to be Oliver Tuffney. So Oliver, sorry, we haven't posted the listing order down into the chat. We'll do this so everyone else is aware of what the order is going to be tonight. But Oliver, if you could bring up your camera, and AJ is going to ask you and give you permission to share screen. And that way we should bring you up onto the screen in a moment, hopefully.
You'll be able to share, Oliver. Can you check?
Sorry, it's currently saying host disabled participant screen sharing.
I think I need your help there, Ben.
AJ, try again, or Oliver, try again. You should be good to go.
All right.
We're good now. We're good now.
Thank you.
Oh, no, no, we're not. Host disabled participant screen sharing.
Can you try again, Oliver?
Yep, it's still saying host disabled.
AJ, I'll have a look. Sorry, everyone. We have not had this problem in many months. It
did work briefly. It did work briefly.
I think maybe AJ and I tried to fix it. So.
Yes, I guess.
Do you want to do it yourself, AJ, and I won't touch it?
Okay, I think you should be able to do it now, Oliver.
Give it a go. Yes, there we go.
Thank you.
That's when too many cooks spoil the broth, I think is the answer. Fantastic. So Oliver, we'll do 5 minutes. AJ will time you through the 5 minutes. She will give you a note when there is 1 minute left towards the end. Please try and stick within the 5 minutes as much as possible.
Yep.
So now our stage is your stage for the next 5 minutes. Over to you.
Thank you. Well, I am the CEO and co-founder of Rated Driving Instructors. And what we are is a comparison platform looking to transform the journey that learner drivers take when getting on the road. Given that we're a marketplace, we're solving problems on 2 sides of the equation. Firstly, for learners, it's a case of how can I quickly find the best available driving instructor in my area when there's over 40,000 to choose from, and I'm going to be spending over £1,000 on driving lessons. For driving instructors, on the other hand, it's a case of how can I get a consistent flow of learners which are on my doorstep, fill the gaps in my diary, but without having to rely on franchise fees. So these are the 2 problems that we're looking to tackle. As to how we're tackling them, for learners, we are helping them make better decisions faster by enabling them to compare driving instructors and read reviews of previous learners, and enabling them to do it faster by, rather than looking on lots of different driving instructor websites and Facebook pages, one platform to connect them to hundreds of instructors. For driving instructors, we enable them to get better inquiries because they can adjust their filters to determine which learners they hear about and only when they need them. With regard to the market opportunity, the specific target market we're going after is sized at £300 million. And this is based on driving instructors within a certain geography and a certain demographic. And this sits within the wider markets of UK driving lessons and money spent getting on the road. As to how we make money now and in the future, at the moment, we're on a cost per inquiry basis. And what that means is that each inquiry that comes in, up to 3 driving instructors can purchase that inquiry. And depending on if you're first, second, or third, the price will drop. The second revenue model that we're looking to add is that of facilitating transactions and taking a percentage fee for facilitating the transaction. And based on the average learner spending just shy of £1,300 on lessons, that equates to £97 per learner. So the combined revenue potential per learner driver being £120. Now, the interesting thing about connecting learners to driving instructors is we are their gateway to the journey of getting on the road. And over the course of the next year or so, they're going to be making a number of other significant purchases for the first time, such as looking to buy insurance, breakdown cover, mechanics, buying their first car, all of which they would benefit from being able to search, compare, and buy. And we have the first mover advantage with these learners. So that's the vision of where we see being able to take the brand. As to why we're the right team, this business is built in our DNA. My background is within sales and marketing across corporate and startups, and I'm a huge marketplace enthusiast. My brother previously was a driving instructor, and that's how the idea was born. And then Hatim, our CTO, is the owner of a digital agency who have been able to bring our vision to life. With regard to traction to date, we've had over 200 driving instructors sign up to the platform with live profiles. And that's what each of these pins on this map represents. When beta testing, we've generated over 100 inquiries per month at very low ad cost. We're now revenue generating with paying customers, and we've received mainstream media attention, including featurings on the BBC. As to how much we need and how we'll use it, we're offering 10% equity in return for £150,000 seed investment.
1 minute left.
Thank you. And the key milestones which this is going to unlock is 3 new cities launched, increased penetration in the Southeast, which is where we're currently operating, the app which facilitates payments, and increasing the number of driving instructors up to 700. Our projections over the next 5 years, by the 5th year, is to be hitting £7.1 million. And based on the average marketplace multiplier, this would give us a valuation of £26.3 million. Finally, as to why this is the best time to invest, there's a number of things. Firstly, in the short term at least, people are wanting to avoid public transport due to COVID. The market is ripe for a marketplace disruptor in as much as it's very highly fragmented, there's very limited differentiation, there's very low tech adoption, and there's no established player in the market yet.
Time's up.
Thank you. And that's the closing slide.
Brilliant. Oliver, I'm going to leave you just for a couple of seconds so you can leave the slide up there if anyone wants to screenshot it. But what I will ask in a second is if you could take your screen off, then what we can do is put into a speaker view so we can see the camera for the question and answer, if that's okay.
Perfect.
Amazing. So I'm just going to remove the spotlight and I will try and set it up while we're going through the questions into a speaker view. I'm going to start this time with Elizabeth. Do you want to ask the first question, Elizabeth?
Hi, Oliver. That was a good presentation. Thank you. Thank you very much. Obviously, an interesting area. There is quite a bit of competition in this sector. It may well be fragmented. Are you actually raising enough money to make an impact? Should you not be raising more to roll this out quicker?
It's a good question. As it stands at the moment, there's no established player in the market, although there are a couple of other early starters, such as a company called GoRoadie. Part of the reason as to why we're able to raise less at this stage is the partner that I referred to, Hatim, and the digital agency that he owns. That agency is based in India. And so that gives us a huge cost advantage in as much as the amount that we're having to spend on tech, which typically for a company or for a tech company would be the largest expense. So we're able to make a significant cost saving there.
Thank you.
I've put myself on mute this time. I will go over next to Andrew, if that's okay. Andrew?
Hi, Oliver. Interesting presentation. Thank you. The number of Gen Zs learning to drive is plummeting. And I see that your main focus is in the Southeast and London, which is seeing the biggest disinterest from Gen Z learning to drive. Where, you know, I see, I'm in Kent, and it's a very, I mean, I live about 10 miles outside of Maidstone, and my kids, both my kids unusually learned to drive at 17 because they live in the sticks and they want a life, basically. So there is a hell of a lot of competition with local driving instructors. I appreciate that you're doing a sort of green door type, ask the client with a pass feedback, etc. But there's an awful lot you can actually glean already, and a lot of driving instructors get recommended from word of mouth. So quite a few questions there, but I think quite relevant. We really need some answers.
Sure. Okay. So I'll try and tackle those each one by one. So the number of, firstly, with the number of people taking driving lessons, that does fluctuate quite a lot. But one of the great statistics, which is in our favor, is that 17 years ago marked the start of a 10-year baby boom. The number of people turning 17 each year is going to grow by 21% over the course of the next 10 years. So while it may be the case that proportionally less 17-year-olds are having driving lessons, there is a significantly more amount of 17-year-olds coming into the market. Then with regard to competition, I would say that the people that you've referenced, like, they would not be our competition in as much as we are an aggregator. So we have people on our platform that are from Red Driving School, that are from AA, that are independents. It's predominantly independents, but we have people across all spectrums that are on our platform.
Thank you.
I'll go over next to Sam.
Hi. Hi. Thank you for a great presentation. So yeah, I understand what you're doing, and interesting to see that you're like creating a marketplace. And I understand that you're particularly doing so for those maybe like independent driving instructors that would look for a platform like this to get more learners. What I'm particularly interested in is how you're looking to extract value from those learners once they've completed their driving lessons, and in doing so, trying to grow like the lifetime value of those users that you're acquiring. Particularly because like your main product here is driving instructors, and you'll try hard enough to ensure quality control on those suppliers. How do you expect to do so on the other product verticals that you're looking at targeting after the driving lessons?
Sure. So our objective is to be the go-to resource for learners within the first 3 years of getting on the road. The gateway to those first 3 years is via the driving lessons. And the way that we'll structure the different areas, I'm not sure if you saw in the visual, it's very similar to the likes of Expedia. In fact, that's actually what we've modeled it after. You're not just buying flights and hotels and insurance, you're buying them all in the same platform. So that's ultimately what we're looking to do. But the good thing with being able to have all of the learners' data in one platform is knowing exactly whereabouts they are at any given point in the journey. So we know when they're going to be looking to pass their test, because one of the things we're looking to build is an area for them to be able to practice their theory and so forth. So we know when they're going to be looking to take their test, and therefore we know when they're going to be looking for insurance, and we know when they're going to be looking for first cars, mechanics, so on and so forth.
Does that answer your question, Sam?
So really, I understand that completely. My question was more around like, so those other product verticals such as insurance and mechanics, how are you going to ensure quality of those suppliers? Because for any marketplace, it's hard enough to do that for one product vertical. So how are you going to ensure that you can do that for the various product verticals that you're looking at targeting?
Sure. Sorry, I must have missed the mark on the answer. With regard to that, it's really a case of community managers. So my brother, who's Kevin, the guy in the photo, he currently acts as our community manager for driving instructors. Okay, so that is quality assuring. Any bad feedback that gets left, he follows it up, ensuring that we have driving instructors in the right areas. So that would ultimately be the drag and drop model, but across the other different verticals. So the background checks and quality assurance on mechanics, insurance, so on and so forth. So yeah, that would be the answer, community managers. Sorry for missing the mark on the first time.
And I'll go over next to John, and then Alice, feel free to ask your question afterwards without me interrupting.
Hi, thanks very much for that presentation. Very interesting. So my son turned 17 not long ago, and so we've just gone down the route of getting or starting driving lessons with him. And I think it was through local recommendations on Facebook that you know, basically got a couple of driving instructors, texted them, and that was all arranged. So it was a fairly seamless experience from that point of view. I should also disclose that we were co-investors in MyDrive, and we did not lead on that investment, but we were co-investors in MyDrive, and MyDrive was obviously in exactly the same space, and was founded, I don't know, 5 or 6 years ago.
Yeah.
And MyDrive raised many millions of pounds and spent many millions of pounds, but did not get to a critical mass and a business model that resulted in a fantastic exit, shall we say, for investors. So I think that the amount of money you're raising is way too small, and if you are going to be successful, then you'll need a lot more money than this, and potentially I would go down the partnership route a lot earlier than look for corporate investment as opposed to private investment.
It's very interesting you say that. I actually had a meeting with the founder of MyDrive a few weeks back, Simon Hager. It was a really interesting conversation about exactly what happened, what went right, and what went wrong along that journey. And while I'm certainly open to feedback, and it may well be the case that we do need to raise more money, what did become apparent through my conversation with Simon was that venture early on was very much overfunded. They had a huge team of developers that were developing all sorts of add-ons, and it was effectively becoming a Strava for driving lessons rather than a comparison market for driving instructors. So it certainly could be the case that we do need to raise more, but I think perhaps with Simon's admission, I wouldn't want to be raising as much as what MyDrive did, and having that many developers, etc., in central London.
Fantastic. And if that's okay, I'll go over to Alice. And just while we're passing over, there's a very good story over here from the founders at Netflix that we all watch, and when they tried to launch live stream and what happened the first time, and we all know what happened now. So don't ever be put off by a failure in the market, just learn the lesson.
Thanks, Oliver, for your presentation. I really like the one-stop shop idea for the platform. I guess my question was more about your business model, because it relies on the learner taking multiple driving lessons. My question is after the first lesson, how do you ensure that learners continue to use the platform to book lessons rather than use a teacher directly and avoid the fee?
Sure. So the key insight behind that second revenue model, the second revenue stream of facilitating transactions, is actually more for the driving instructor. So the key insight that's based on is between 8 and 10% of driving lessons are cancelled within 48 hours. Now, given that it's a cash in hand business, what often happens is when the next lesson takes place, although driving instructors do have cancellation policies, when the learner next gets in the car, they don't want to say, can you pay me for this lesson and that lesson last week that you didn't turn up for? So it ends up being lost revenue. And what we're going to enable through being able to pay for lessons through the app is an automated cancellation policy. So when a learner does try and cancel, it would actually, the driving instructor wouldn't have to give back the money effectively. They're prepaid for the lessons. Does that make sense?
Yeah, thank you. Thanks, Oliver.
Super. Thank you so much, Oliver, for pitching. I'm going to ask if there's any investors who are watching, please feel free. We have a chat down in the side within Zoom. I'm sure most of you now know how to use it in our new working from home world, which we all seem to be doing. But if you don't, it's Oliver Tuffney down in the chat, and you'll be able to find Oliver and send any direct messages if you are interested. For everyone who's pitching tonight, I will send all your email addresses across to our panel again, and I will ask for them to reach out directly to you if they're interested in moving forward. Oliver, really interesting business. Thank you so much for pitching. As someone from an awesome background, I always love this. So thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone. I appreciate it.
And please feel free, Oliver, as well, to share your links down into the chat with anyone so they can find your website and your app. And if they want to come and use the service themselves, they can come and try or inquire about doing any beta testing for new features in the future. So please feel free.
I certainly will. Thank you very much.
So next up tonight, we have Horace. So I'm going to ask AJ if you can find Horace and just spotlight his camera up so it will take me off the screen and then give him permission to share. Super, Horace, we can see you up on the screen.
Okay. Am I on the screen?
You are. Are you able to share your screen, Horace?
Okay.
Horace here tonight is pitching for Sparks, a service I really think that AJ is going to enjoy for us. She's been a big user of another service along that sector, and we're going to find out why they're very different. And AJ, I'll find out tomorrow if you've moved over to using Sparks or not. I believe it might be coming soon. Horace, we have your screen. I'm going to remove the spotlight from me. You know how it works now. So for the next 5 minutes, our stage is your stage, and it's over to you, Horace.
Great, thank you. Hello, I'm Horace Ho, founder of Sparks, and we are here to revolutionize the way knowledge workers learn. Let us begin by stepping into the shoes of Danny, a typical knowledge worker in this age of information overload. Competing in a knowledge economy, success hinges on Danny's ability to absorb and utilize the enormous amount of information produced daily, producing unique insights that inspire and innovative solutions that deliver. However, with so many blogs, articles to read, podcasts, audiobooks to listen to, TED Talks, webinars to watch, she simply cannot keep up. Always rushing to consume the next piece of hot content with a fear of missing out, she only gains a vague impression of the last one she did. Furiously taking notes to record her insight, she then watched them disappear in a complex web of folders and tags. With so much slipping through, no wonder Danny is struggling to achieve her ambitions. There are many like Danny out there, people hitting a brick wall with their productivity, confidence, and in extreme cases, their health. This is why we built Sparks, to help them turn the tide. Here is how it works. Whenever you're reading, watching, or listening to something, you can save your thoughts and insights as Sparks. And you can just capture and move on without having to spend efforts figuring out where to save the new note. Then Sparks platform finds how our notes connect to each other and how they can be clustered from bottom up. At a time later, the platform will present us with its findings and ask us to review and verify them. These reviews give us opportunities to reflect upon what we've learned and have several benefits. Firstly, they help us better retain information by prompting us to recall insights and context embedded in the Sparks repeatedly over time. Secondly, they deepen our understanding by focusing our minds to examine how new and existing concepts relate to each other. Exactly how our brains would like to learn complex new topics. Last but not least, they boost our creativity by allowing ideas to collide with each other, birthing new insights and perspectives in the process. The role of proactive processing here is to supercharge our learnings by surfacing associations between Sparks that are overlooked by our tired and overwhelmed brains. With more connections and clusters established, finding the information we need also becomes much easier. Instead of disparate pieces, we now look to retrieve memorable and coherent narratives. Finally, we can contribute to each other's shared clusters, promoting collaborative learning within teams and communities. We are fueled by the growing connections that come from the Sparks algorithms. More and more ideas mingle and cross-pollinate, bringing deeper curiosity, richer creativity, and personal wisdom. Expanding and supercharging our knowledge and intelligence is the real goal. That's how we thrive and excel. The global smart learning market will expand with a compound annual growth rate projected between 15 and 18%. This is driven by a fast-changing labor market and our anxiety about knowing enough to do our jobs well. Meanwhile, learning is also increasingly shifting towards informal and content-based. It is under these two macro trends that we see renewed consumer and investor interests in cloud-based note-taking services. Most current players are still focused on developing better ways to organize and take notes. But in this age, information stored is not the same as knowledge that has been mastered and can be confidently applied.
You have 1 minute left.
Demand for services that can truly help users turn the former into the later. And I believe we can expand Spark quickly by meeting this demand. Pricing-wise, we have two tiers, $9.99 with the proactive processing and $4.99 without. We've been on a roll since March 2020. Our iOS app launched in May, the companion web platform in June. But I think most importantly, our decision to simulate automatic algorithms with human processing allow us to go to market and start to learn early, allow us to offer full value proposition to early adopters and ask for payment after their trial. And this gives us huge momentum towards proving product market fit. We've got 54 users finish their initial trial. 7 of them are now subscribers, which gave us 13% conversion rate from unpaid opt-in, no credit card free trial. And we have 2,400 users on the waiting list.
Time's up, Horace.
Okay.
Horace, would you like to just tell us how much you are raising potentially? I think that would be interesting for the investors to understand, and where you are in this journey, just so we can wrap up here, if that's okay.
Yeah, we're looking to raising 500K. In terms of where we are in the journey, we are already running closed beta. So as I mentioned before, we've got 54 users finish their 2-month trial, and we have 7 of them convert to subscribers.
Super. Thank you very much, Horace. I save you the obvious question so you can have a better question from the panel here, hopefully. Thank you so much. What a fantastic pitch. What a great and interesting product. I'm going to start this time in reverse order. So Alice, would you like to go first? And Horace, could you please stop sharing your screen for a moment so that we can see the questions come through?
Hi, Horace. Really great presentation. I love the idea. I think it's super exciting. I was just wondering, how did you come up with the idea, and what was your motivation behind starting this business?
So I graduated from Oxford doing engineering, economics, and management. And a lot of these ideas come from how some of the methodology I used to learn back then. So giving some context, so the course, the management and economics part, a lot of it is about writing essays. A lot of it is about finding different reference from different literatures and thread them together to build arguments. And it's from my personal experience back then, I felt like this kind of connection that is really helpful. And later, I discovered a Austrian psychologist who produced a method of learning called slip books, which is very close to the concept here, which sort of like validated my initial suspicion. And also for me, the motivation behind the Spark is really to, I think it really is for me that because I sort of transformed from engineering also into user experience design, there's a lot of information I need to take in. And what I felt is that all the existing offerings out there, all of them, they are trying to help you organize information, categorize information. Even with a few services that do automatic processing, it's about categorizing. It doesn't really help me to engage with the materials, to learn better. So that's why I decided I want to try to create a service that can fulfill, I think, this huge gap in the market.
Thanks, Horace. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Brilliant. Thank you, Horace. I will go over next to John, if that's okay.
Yeah, thanks, Horace. That was really interesting. I use Evernote and I've used Trello in the past as well, and still use Evernote, but not so much Trello now. Managed to, although I'm probably one of these frustrating users that tries to avoid paying subscriptions and just uses enough features to avoid paying subscriptions. So are you offering a freemium model, or is it go straight to paying, and how does the business model develop?
Is it okay if I share slides, or
Horace, feel free, as best as you want to answer.
Okay. So for us, for us, we actually have 2 tiers of services. The lower tier is $4.99 US. With that tier, it's the concept of using connections, but without the proactive processing. And for us, the main attraction is really using the proactive processing to hook users, give them a very intuitive experience in terms of really reflecting upon their learnings. So this is how we want to attract our users. In terms of the lower tier, at the moment, the plan is to leave it as a paid lower price. But in the process, we will give this tier of users a lot of opportunities to test the premium tier of services. The reason we want to also have a paid tier is because we really felt like, because we are really passionate about learning, and we want to use the sort of like the paying to stimulate the lower tier of user, to make them more committed. This is one of our hypotheses, that this would make them more committed, but we are opening to be sure that we are wrong. And if that is the case, we will definitely pivot the lower tier into a freemium model.
Okay, thank you.
Fantastic. And I'm going to go next to Sam, please.
Hi, Horace.
Hello.
Yeah, I'm certainly an incessant note taker myself, so found it a really interesting product. So thanks for that. My question is really around. So yeah, it definitely seems like there are trends towards like productivity, and this is something that we've been looking at a lot internally as well. And it seems like the product that you're building certainly does add more features on top of the existing solutions that are out there in that space. I'd really like to understand what the feedback has been like from your beta testers on how they experience those added features that you're offering, and yeah, how that experience compares to some of the existing solutions out there.
Okay, great. Let me just let's see if this works. Let me just, can you see my screen with the slides?
Yeah, I can see your screen.
So it's a little bit small, but I hope you can see these are the initial feedbacks from our users. So a lot of them, they are talking about how the Sparks is already changing the way they approach learning. Many of them felt they really reflect on things they take in more. And also they started talking about how it encouraged them to really build a learning workflow around the Sparks processes. I think this is really encouraging to us because I think as a UX designer, the goal is really to elicit positive behavior change. And we can clearly see from the feedbacks that we were able to achieve that with our users. So that makes us really, really excited. And very interestingly, we also recently we got some more user feedback. They really talked about how the connections inspire them.
Great. Yeah, thank you for that, Horace. Thank you.
And then next, I'm going to go over to Liz, please.
Oh, hi, Horace. Thanks very much for your presentation. Very interesting. I can see you've got some features which are beyond the competition, which is great. So it's super to have a really good product. What's your team's experience in rolling products like this out? Because we all know you can have a wonderful product, but it's actually getting the user base.
Okay, yeah. Let me move to this slide. Sorry, I mistimed my presentation. In the practice, I thought I'd go much faster. So this is our go-to-market slides. And up to now, we've been using social media paid advertising, trying to narrow down our core audiences. And we found these 4 group of audiences who respond really well to our advertisement and also are really active in our when they actually use the app. So at the moment, our route to market is through social media advertising, and we got some really good responses. But also by talking with these users, we also find a few go-to-market strategies that we're going to test in the near future. So first is on the B2C side. We know a lot of our users, they follow opinion leaders in their industry. They see what they are reading, they see what they are thinking in order to learn more effectively. So we felt there's an opportunity for us to partner with these opinion leaders to help them publishing their Sparks to their followers on their platform and thus bringing their followers onto the platform. The other part, what we found really interesting is that actually a lot of these users, they also subscribe to things like EndorseMe or Knowable is an example I put down here because basically it's a MOOC business, but instead of teaching in videos, they teach in audio content. And so our users are really enthusiastic about these services. And we felt like we can partner with these services to help their users better learn the content from them. And that allowing us to grow much faster. And also we actually have a lot of things to offer to these partners as well. Because what we can have is that once their users start using our platform, we can see what outside third-party content their users make connections to their content. I can show them which part of their content users make the most notes and most actively engaged with. These are all very important intels. Lastly, one of our hypotheses is that because a lot of methodology comes from my experience learning during my university time, this may be suitable for students. So we actually have a trial with University of Bristol ongoing. So we have their students from psychology department trialing the Sparks platform at the moment. So we obviously the project was a little bit delayed by the Christmas break and all the COVID lockdowns, but there's some undergraduates are starting to use us, and we plan to have a review next month. And also our contacts with Bristol University, they felt like the product will also be very suitable for more mature students So people who has worked, people who has already had a degree, and they want to do a transfer course to transfer into psychology. And we are also going to trial with those students later on.
Thank you.
Hi, Horace. Obviously super interesting this. It's interesting on your last reply, you indicated that this could be visual, because obviously people learn in different ways. Someone audio, some visual. Both my kids are, one is audio, the other is visual in terms of the way they learn. So it's very interesting. You said that it's effective in both ways. So if it's effective for the word as well as say YouTube, etc. I agree with you. I think for more mature students, I think this would be a fantastic product, I must say. Can you just tell me a little bit about how the algorithm works in terms of how it actually binds different notations together?
Okay, yeah, great. So first I want to clarify, at the moment we're using humans to simulate algorithms because we want to move to the market really, really fast. But however, we also identified a few existing algorithms that is already widely used in corporate and academic field and we think we can move them into our context. And namely, what we are looking at is to use technology called taxonomy and use the related semantic technology to really find connections. And the way they do is that these algorithms, they need certain narrow range domain knowledge taxonomy to be pre-built, but then they will be very effectively able to find important entities. So it can be people, place, organization, potentially abstract concepts as well. They can recognize this, and they can also recognize key topics that is being mentioned in a particular bit of text, unstructured text. And we will be using this topic and entity match to find connections between different nodes. On the other hand, I think there's a very interesting point about these technologies, is that the current way they are used in corporate and academic world, they're designed to replace human. So it is about these algorithms really categorize different content, and users just sort of like, oh, this is a categorization I'm going to work with. Whilst we sort of like turned a bit on its head, in the sense that with us, algorithms are an assistant. They are just making suggestions. They are just providing inspirations. Sometimes they will not be correct, but the most important part is that we can inspire people to find the connections they've overlooked.
There's a company called Autonomy. I don't know whether you ever heard of that. It's uses a specific 18th century form of mathematics that comes up with this exact solution.
Oh, great. I think I definitely would check them out. At the moment, some of the companies we are looking at is a company, Austrian company called Popati. They provide a lot of this technology in the corporate sector. And also potentially we will reach out to the Gates at, oh God, sorry, name just one of the UK universities. They have a center specialized in this.
Great, good luck.
Thank you.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Horace. If I could ask Horace if you could take your screen down at the moment, and I'm going to just take a look at who is next up. So next up will be Sophia from EndorseMe, a company I've been really looking forward to, actually. I've been doing some research, Sophia, into your space, actually, and what's been going on over there. I found a very interesting business from Lewis Higo that was fascinating.
Sorry, really sorry. Is my screen down?
It is, Horace. Yeah, it is. Brilliant. So if you could take your camera off, Horace, that'd be great, and put yourself on mute. anyone wants to follow up with Horace, please go to Horace Ho down in the chat, and you can follow up directly with Horace over here. Horace, please share any links to website or where we can find out about any beta testing with you. Sophia, we've got your screen up. I'm going to check I can hear you. Hi, Sophia. How you doing?
Okay. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you perfectly.
Okay.
I'm going to make sure that you're on a spotlight. You are. I'm going to make sure that I'm not, which I am not. So it is over to you. Our stage is your stage, Sophia, for the next 5 minutes.
Thank you so much. Hi, everyone. My name's Sophia Bhaumick, and I'm here to introduce you to my company, EndorseMe. Now, I'm just going to start with a bit of background about me. I'm an athlete and a coach and agent in professional boxing and UFC. I also work in digital marketing. And something really interesting that I saw was that through COVID-19 and even before, there were a lot of small businesses looking for digital marketing. And what I found was that they are spending so much money, or they can't afford marketing for a long period of time. It's a short-term solution, maybe the odd £1,500 there or £2,000 for 1 month, but it's not enough for them to see results and to really help their businesses flourish. So what I've done is come up with a platform called EndorseMe, where it's a social network where small businesses can log on and find athletes or influencers to help market their campaigns through influencer marketing and through sliding scale rates that they can decide between each other. Now, our traction so far, we've been doing some A/B testing with the prototype app, and also we're just currently launching the beta test at the moment for the app. And what we've seen is that we have had the best response through small businesses. We've had about 50 registered businesses so far, and also 500 registered athletes through our proof of concept campaign that we ran with Tony Bellew's old coach, Dave Caldwell, which actually was running this week. So that's been great back. Now, what makes us stand out is that we actually have a geolocation within our app. So you can actually see the influencers and athletes that are around your area. You can also filter based on hashtags. So for example, the athletes can put in what they kind of are most like, let's say their sport, for example, they can put in, let's say, boxing or dancing or something like that. And then the small businesses can find them from that too. Now, the way it works is that the small businesses will register. Upon registration, they'll put in their small business needs, their KPIs, and then the athletes will put in their details. And from their social media details, we track down the engagements from the different APIs of Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook at the moment. They're the ones we're working within. And what it does is calculates the best recommended athletes for the small business, and they can contact them directly. From the other side of the equation, this is great for athletes because a lot of them that are within the 90% that are trying to break into their respective sports need the sponsorship so they can train full time. Our secret sauce, like I've said, is our geocentric algorithm. We really want to create these local connections with the small businesses. It's really, really important to us. We've been talking about our methods in the US, and that was something we looked at building from this like small business local approach so they can build within that region. Now, our team. So my CTO is actually a shareholder within the company. So thank goodness I have him on board because that was the most expensive part of this process. And also we have Luke Sutton, who's actually an ex-professional cricketer and also runs Activate Management, which is a pool of athletes he's worked with to secure endorsements. He's done endorsements with like BMW and Coca-Cola. The reason I really brought him into this is that he's got serious experience working with different companies and also showing them how the endorsement process works. And in regards to the legal side as well, he brings his whole legal team with him too. And with every endorsement, there has to be a contract that goes with it just to ensure the safety of the small business and also in regards to legalities generally. Now, what we've seen is that there's a huge market within the UK and the US, 36 million small businesses, that are spending about 10% of their annual revenue on marketing and advertising. So a huge market there.
1 minute left.
Thank you. And then within the sports industry, there's 90.9 million athletes ranging from college level to professional level. So a big market there. The way our app works, it's a freemium model to begin with. You can download it and really social network, have a look at the platform, but to really utilize the services, it's $4.99 per month. Like I said, with the endorsements, they're based on a sliding scale. And what we do is we take a 10% commission from each endorsement. Yes, this can be it can be seen as a saturated market, but where we're placed, because of what we specialize in, which is athletes and small businesses, not large businesses, which is what the majority focus on here, that's what makes us stand out. And our geolocation is our secret sauce. Our projections in year one, we're looking at 900K. And then in year two, with our US expansion, we're looking at building up to 1.9 million. We're looking for £150,000 worth of investment for 10% of our company, just to get our business out there and really get the marketing done. And thank you so much for your time today.
Amazing. You've done it within the 5 minutes, Sophia. Fantastic pitch. I love people who know their sector. I think it's a brilliant business. I can't wait to see what the panel say over here. We're going to start this time with John, please, John.
Hi, thanks very much for that presentation. Really interesting. Can you just clarify what's the value proposition to the small businesses? So what are you offering the small businesses that's going to get them excited about this?
Yeah, so we're offering them the influencer marketing on a sliding scale. So it's the marketing that you discuss. So with the price, it's what you set, which isn't really done before. So with a lot of marketing, let's take a marketing agency, for example. They offer services at their set rate, and you work within that. What we're doing is kind of the opposite. So the small businesses, let's say it's your business, you'll say, okay, I have a £300 budget per month that I can put towards this. So what we want to do, that's the first part. And then also with our algorithm, we want to maximize their £300. So we're going to match them with an influencer or an athlete that can really maximize that. So that's our value proposition to them.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
I will go next to Liz.
Hi, Sophia. Thanks very much for the presentation. Could you, John touched on this, but could you expand a bit more on how you match the athletes with the right small business? I understand about the geolocation, but do you have to have a small business which is producing something which is of interest to the athletes, or could it be anything at all?
It can be anything at all. So that's one of the other sides of the equation. If it's a small business that is very niche, so let's say specialty books, I'm not sure, let's just take books, they're selling books. Now, yes, that would be seemingly harder to find an athlete to market that. However, if you put, I'm a small business, I'm trying to sell these books, they're customized books, and this is my budget, £200, £300. If you put that out there, what you can do is take control of it and get a few different athletes actually applying to market for your company, just due to the income that they'd get from it. And what you can do from there is say, okay, trial period, can I see who's going to produce the best content here that can really maximize my sales? So that's our contest side of it, if you want to call it. And actually something we're running at the moment on Instagram. And it's really, it's quite an exciting one, because you take a really niche business and see that it can be implemented into the influencer world as well.
Right, thanks very much. Thank you.
Thank you.
And Sam, please, Sam.
Hi, Sophia. Thank you very much for that presentation. Yeah, I like the fact that you're giving access to influencer marketing to smaller businesses, because that might be something that they might struggle to get access to otherwise. My question really is around the secret sauce, so the geolocation. Does that mean that you match up businesses and athletes that are in a similar location? And if so, does that mean that you're really targeting more bricks and mortar style businesses rather than online businesses? If that is the case, it might, I don't know, my reservation might be it might be difficult to match up businesses and athletes in a similar geolocation until there's like quite, you know, more like larger usership really.
Yeah. So it's a bit like with our geolocation, the way it works, you know, on Airbnb where you can expand the radius. It's a little bit like that, because obviously we don't want to alienate the online businesses, because that's literally what's happened with COVID. Everybody's had to go online. So what we've done for this is we've completely expanded it. And the geolocation, which is why we're trying to move quite quickly, is more for the like restaurants and the businesses that can't, like they need footfall. So that would be more for them. So let's say you have a restaurant and I live very close to your restaurant. You find me on the map and you say, Sophia, I'm going to pay you £100. I need you to come into my restaurant every month and bring all your friends. That will really help you maximize your sales, and I can promote it and stuff. But if you're an online business, yes, just expand the radius and you get access to everybody.
Great, thank you for that.
Thank you.
Super. I'll go next over to Andrew.
Hi, Sophia. Very interesting. So if I was a butcher, a local butcher my local butcher is in Cranbrook in Kent.
Yes.
And I wanted to find a local rugby professional. And there just happened to be 3 in the Cranbrook area. How I can understand how you connect them and everything else. And, you know, the butcher's got, say, 500 quid a month social media budget. Who actually coordinates the social media aspect of the campaign? I mean, it's all very well, you know, who actually does the campaign for the butcher, who actually no experience whatsoever of running a social media campaign?
So that's another part of our app. So we've been built by agents. So we have incorporated like an introductory video or a learning educational platform onto it too. So let's say you're the butcher, you come onto it, you're like, how on earth do I use this? What do I put? We give you little examples. So let's say you go to post an ad, you customize your ad, and we'll put examples there of how to work through it. So there'll be like a little question mark in the corner, and you can hover over it and it shows you an example of what to put. And it will say something like, okay, if you're looking at, say, Instagram, or a general one of what usual businesses use, it will give you that format, and then feel free from there to tailor it how you want, because we do want to make it as inclusive as possible, because some people, like the butchers, may not want too many social media posts in one area. They might want them more on Twitter or Facebook, usually Facebook for this kind of thing because of Facebook ads. So we want to make it so you can customize it yourself, but the help will come from the little question mark icon, as well as our educational service that you can just watch if you're a completely new small business to the app.
Aren't you missing a trick that you could actually sell them the social, you know, the social digital marketing expertise as well, rather than just giving them the kit?
So I thought about that, and it was an area we could have gone into, but that I want to keep the platform as kind of simple as possible. There is that access to, there's an option for agency. And if you go on the side, there are social media tools that you can access as well. And the businesses can pay to kind of get more PR. They can pay to really utilize it more. It's an aside, but we don't want to make it our main thing. So yes, they can do that too, but it's not the main form, if that makes sense.
No, I understand that. And obviously social media marketing is very, very low margin.
Yeah. Thank you.
Understood. Thank you.
Thank you.
Super. And then the last is Alice, please. Yeah, thank you.
Hi, Sophia. Super interesting product. I was just wondering, I had actually two questions that kind of led on one from the other. The first was, what kind of exposure do athletes bring businesses? Is it through social media posts? Is it through wearing gear during games or public events? And what will the cost of this marketing incur fall on the business or on the athlete? For example, if they got sent a t-shirt with a branded logo or something like that, would it be the business that would take on this cost, or the athlete?
Okay, I'll start with your first question, and thank you for the questions. In regards to the, sorry, what was your first question? I'm still on the
first question was just what exposure did the athletes bring the businesses? Yeah.
So basically with that, it's very heavily focused on social media. However, as I was saying before, it's customized. So with some athletes, they'll be on the pinnacle of breaking into a sport. Let's take Anthony Joshua before he is what he is now. So just before the Olympics and before he exploded, let's say a small business had invested in him then, there would be benefit in thinking, okay, he's about to go to the Olympics. I think I want to put my logo on his t-shirts and on his shorts, just so that there's exposure out there. It's decided between them. So any exposure they want, let's say they want to put their logo on a car, if it's Formula One, or if it's something like that, again, it's decided between them. We don't want to limit purely to social media, but we encourage it a lot more, just because there is a lot more exposure with photos, and with, especially on Instagram, it stays there. If you're scrolling through people's, let's say an athlete's pictures and stuff, you might see it and click on the link. So it's just that sticking time there. And then with your second question, which was, can you just remind me? So sorry.
Yeah, it was just on the side of, it was just understanding. So I think that almost answers it as well, because it was more on asking if it was an in-person, in-game service that they were offering, would it be the business or the athlete that would kind of pay the price of creating sponsored content? But I think you answered that in saying it was focused more towards on social media and things like that.
Yeah, it would be. So with the other side of it, so I've said that obviously if it's a new business and they want to trial out a few athletes, that's an option too. And when it comes to that respect, it's more on what the athletes do with the opportunity they have. So if they decide, actually, I'd like to post your logo on my uniform just to show you that I'm the best athlete for you, they can do that. And then the cost would be on them, not on the business, because they're trying to show themselves to have value. However, if it's the business that's asking the athlete to do that, then the cost would be incurred for the business, if it's like a t-shirt sort of thing, if that makes sense.
Yeah, thanks, Sophia.
Thank you.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, Sophia, for that. I'm going to ask if anyone wants to get in contact with Sophia. If you look for Sophia B down in the chat, you can reach out to Sophia. It sounds really interesting, Sophia. I'm definitely going to keep watching, going through what you're doing at the moment. So thank you so much for pitching tonight. Great pitch. Before we go into the other pitch, I'll be told off by AJ, our events and community manager, as I'm looking at my phone to try and remind you what other events we have coming up as Othership. We do 150 different events over the year aimed at small businesses, founders, freelancers. For many of you tonight who are founders and looking at how you're going to raise investment, one of the criteria we put at this event is to be SEIS and EIS eligible. If you don't know what this means, or you've been looking at doing your application, we provide a training session once a month. It is on the second Friday of the month. It's actually led by me. I did RSEIS and EIS application, and I will show you how you can do this yourself without having to go through some of the legal services that are available and save some of those important pounds in the early stages of your business. I'll show you how to literally do it yourself online and take you through step by step, click by click, what you need to do to go and do this. So please feel free to join. If you are an Othership Premium member and you're a member over in our Slack group, you'll be able to access these events for free. We do a membership. There's a 2-week free trial. I encourage people to just take a look for yourself and see if it's the right kind of membership for you. The next up then to pitch, I need to go and check my list from AJ. It is Yogan. Oh, this is going to be really exciting, something very different. We've never seen this before at Pitch for Investment. So Yogan, are you able to share your screen?
Yeah, if I go on full screen.
I'm going to find you in the menu, Yogan, and spotlight you up next to me so I can bring you up.
Have you got me there? Okay, so if I share screen.
We have you, Yogan. I can see you here. Fantastic.
Have you got me now? Have you got the screen?
I do, and I've got you up on Spotlight as well.
Brilliant. Okay. So in the interest of time, let me get cracking. The wonderful thing about not going first is that you can learn and change your presentation as you go along. So the first thing I want to do is just paint a picture of this. Here is, if you like, the Chinese market for selling. Okay. Take this, multiply it by 10, and you still do not have what the Chinese market could be in terms of the complexities offered both on and offline sales, okay? And if you take that, and you've all heard of Alibaba and Tmall's, etc., but there is just so many others that provide the ecosystem for selling in China. Nous is a SaaS platform that wants to help companies from outside China navigate the quagmire of what I just put forward, okay? Whether you are in the very straightforward sector of apparel, all the way through to, say, selling wood on a B2B kind of platform, we are going to be able to give European brands and subsequently other brands, we're going to start in the UK, Europe, America, etc., the opportunity to navigate and have a bespoke selling solution into the Chinese market. So what we solve is the ability for mainly the global SME brands who have no specific opportunities to control their sales in China, the opportunity to use a SaaS platform to achieve that. We're going to be a one-stop shop that offers the right marketing into that ecosystem. And that is all going to be supported by business intelligence that we put into the business and subsequently the data analysis that comes out to support anyone that is selling on those platforms to make better decisions going forward. Here are some numbers about China. I know that all of you being in business will know that China is fundamentally, playing to a 6% growth even in 2020, which is quite incredible given the state of the world, and continuing to promise numbers in double digits in terms of growth for 2021 and onwards. So this is a massive market still to be conquered. And for those who may not know, beyond Beijing and Shanghai and Guangzhou, are cities still of 30 million, 40 million people with significant incomes and a young population now, young mobile population that wants what the West is offering. Okay? So going back to that, and what we do is, this is some of the kind of background stuff that we would provide each of our clients and customers in helping them to navigate the market, as I say. Okay? So we believe that we can help and innovate in this thing. We can help to scale up very easily, and we are workable and very realistic. This is a platform that today is in its early stage tech form, but part of the money that we're looking for is to bring the tech up to speed so that we can have very sophisticated working being offered to European brands that want to expand, navigate, enter the China market. Okay? And these are kind of some of the things that we will look for. We will go all the way from accessories in the B2C market through to a B2B offering that could be wood, that could be glass, etc. We also have had interest and support from a number of Chinese cities and what they offer, some provinces that are offering us the opportunity for offline exhibitions of what we do. So in Chengdu, for example, there is a British pavilion that is giving British brands the opportunity to not only be on our platform, but to actually showcase their goods in a pavilion that is visitable by all. So there are a number of things that are going on where the Chinese local and national government are supporting ventures such as ours.
Less than 1 minute left.
Okay, we are looking for 1.5 million with various breakdowns in terms of drawdowns, and is mainly to bring in people for our sales and marketing and our management, and to help us build the tech. Okay, that's the drawdown, and this is some of the marketing and sales that we are planning for and ongoing. And currently we are in the UK. We have actually got some of our first clients, and our revenue streams are that we would charge an amount to each of our clients and take a percentage of the commission. The client is not responsible for any of their marketing. The marketing is done by the platform and by those on the platform that sell on behalf of the e-commerce businesses. We will have a warehouse. These are some of the brands, and these are our numbers. We hope to break even at the end of year 2 and move into profit in year 3. Thank you.
Time's up.
Well speeded through there at the end, Jürgen. Thank you so much for that. I'm sure some of the detail will come out in the questions from the panel. So Jürgen asked if you could stop sharing the screen, then we can bring up the camera.
I need to stop sharing the screen, is it? Right.
Yeah.
Okay, give me a sec. Is that gone? No?
No, it's not. There you go. That's it. Okay. Fantastic. And I will start over this time with Alice, please.
Thanks, Jürgen. I think it's a super unique concept. So I have some initial reservations, being that bespoke services are really tricky to scale. How do you plan to cater to 700 businesses in the next 3 years? And what business analytical tools do you provide to the companies on your platform?
Sure. So I think in terms of the bespoke thing, I think many of those are going to be sector and category specific. Therefore, it's easier. We will have account management that overlooks every single client. So part of the money that we will raise is to bring in account management and client management that will have the a list of brands that they are responsible for, and therefore produce for them the most relevant and bespoke ecosystem, if you like, within our broader ecosystem. In terms of the data analytics, in terms of the names of it, I personally don't think that the founder of this is actually on thing. Can she also come on to answer that question? Is that possible?
Yeah, sure.
Is it possible to get Wenjing to answer the second part of the question?
Sure, Wenjing, you can answer.
Everyone, can you hear me?
We can, yes.
Okay, cool, yeah. Hi, yeah, I'm a founder of the Nous platform. Actually, so Jürgen would be more chargeable for the clients of the brands. So I would like to explain something about the distribution, which means the Chinese clients, the retailers and wholesalers, how we approach to them to Chinese market. Yeah, so as we explained that, actually it's kind of like one-to-N distribution system. So our customer actually is not just the e-commerce, because in China it's kind of like different system from the Western e-commerce. So usually it's like Alibaba and GD. So Alibaba and GD, they didn't doing the wholesale and distribution this thing by themselves. So usually it's thousands of retailers on the GD and Alibaba platform. So our customer is to approach to these retailers. And I would like to say that now we have at least 100 retailers customers on board already on list. And actually they are waiting, they are actually really waiting for to expect to receive the brand's information from us. Because the Chinese market is an upgrading market now, and now there are more and more unique requests for the whole country. So according to the current brands products of Chinese market, it's really very interesting that UK and also Europe has lots of interesting unique SME brands who never into Chinese market. So these brands, these products would be really very appealing for the current Chinese retailers to sell to these Chinese customers. and also our CTO. I think maybe on the page we didn't share that. So in our team, our CTO is his Chinese background, and also we have well, I just introduce another concept, WeChat, because we don't use WhatsApp, Facebook, this kind of a system in China. We use WeChat. So WeChat kind of like 700 million, over 700 million customers, and on WeChat there are over millions of stores, so which called social media stores. So for now, we have also approached to this WeChat stores through our system. So I would say all of this our current customers and also potential customers. Yeah.
Hey, Wenjing, what are some of the data analytic tools we'll use?
Oh yes, the big data. Yes, the data will be used for the so which means that is the wholesale data from the different Chinese retailers, and we collect this data to help the brands to decide which kind of item would be more suitable for Chinese market. So which would be very helpful for them to make the sustainable supply chain and to help them to make the decision for the next year. Yeah, kind of like this.
Thanks for replying. I think my big piece of advice to consider before I pass on to the other panelists is that bespoke services, so if you're going to offer this personal approach, it's going to be really tricky and really time consuming if you have so many customers. So finding a platform that is able to cater to everyone and to provide useful analytical tools to everyone without spending a lot of time per customer is going to be a challenge going forward. But I'll
is it possible to automate that to a certain extent?
I would like to answer this question. Yeah, I think I understand Alice's question. I don't think that the bespoke service would be a lot. Actually, when we talk about bespoke, what I'm trying to say is because, for example, in China, there are over 200 e-commerce platforms. So the only reason we offer, I mean, the big reason for this is because, for example, there's some e-commerce platform not very suitable for fashion brands, for high-end brands. So what we mean is we would give the bespoke service for the to give a kind of like selection for what kind of the e-commerce platform would be suitable for this brand. So this bespoke service would be you know, just a kind of like a filter service, filter some system based on our knowledge about the Chinese market to make it more suited for the branding, for the brands, their character, this kind of thing. Yeah, yeah. Eugen, do you have anything to add?
Yeah,
yes.
Yeah, no, I get it. Yeah.
Thank you very much. I'm going to be a little bit wary of time on this one. I'm going to invite, actually, and it's a little bit of a risk on my part, but if any of the panelists specifically have a question they would really like to ask, would they like to unmute themselves and ask a question, because I might not have time to go through all the panelists this time, and we'll ask some of you to reach out and chat. You can see David Andrews brought his camera on. So Andrew, do you have a question you'd like to ask?
Yeah, I mean, I invested in a business called Go Capture, which we sold to Deloitte's Hong Kong about 18 months ago, that basically was using data feeds from China Telecom to process the anonymized data of up to 500 million Chinese consumers. That was in Shanghai. And I've come across a similar business to yours called Tails Trading. Have you heard of them?
Tails Trading.
Yeah, it's run by Siddharth Shankar. Again, an Indian-Chinese combination, basically, which was doing a very similar thing to yours.
Focus on the Chinese market, B2B.
Yeah, basically it was one of the partners was Indian, one of the partners was Chinese, very connected, you know, whatever. They've had real problems because of the changing attitude towards China in terms of businesses, particularly with what's going on in the western part of China, and with the, you know, the geopolitical system. I mean, I'm involved in a business which is testing cotton globally, basically, and the US is banning any cotton imported from the western part of China entering the US. You know, Trump obviously kicked it off, but Biden's certainly going to be carrying it on. This escalation of rebalancing of the relationship between China and the West. How is this business going to be impacted by that escalating hostility?
Yes, I wouldn't, to be honest, I wouldn't focus on America, because everyone knows that there's some problem. The same for the Australia. And I would say that it's really, actually, I think that's really very, it's very lucky that I'm in London, and also I'm in UK, and also UK is really so close to Europe, which means, I mean, that for Europe, first, there are so many countries, and also there are, I mean, also for the Europe, there are also different brands, and I mean, they have totally different kind of products from the different countries. Only we even just to talk about UK, I pay much attention to this. That's why we have this current physical store, this program, which is supported by the UK Embassy in China and also local government. Yeah. So I would say I'm really very positive for the relationship between UK and China. And also, of course, EU kind of like it's possibly even a bit shifting, but I would say that and also for the recent attitude from the Chinese government, which is also very, very important thing. I'm keeping watching this kind of news every day. I mean, to be honest, yeah, we kind of like in the not very friendly with America, but for China, it's not possible for us to be enemy for the whole Western countries. And our government has made it really very clear. We need to open, the central government is planning to make it more open for the whole country. So I would say America maybe, yeah, it's definitely not very optimistic at this moment, at this stage. But UK, after UK, the Brexit, and also I'm kind of like dealing, keep talking with the DIT, and I'm really, want to understand what is their the country, the whole country's attitude with China. I would say generally I'm really very optimistic between UK, Europe, and China. Yes.
I think that's a very challenging question there from our panel on global economics and the shifts that will move over time.
Yeah.
If any of the other panelists have a question, I'll invite them to open. Otherwise, I will probably pass on to the next presenter just for sake of time. Super. So thank you so much. You can reach out to Wenjing and to Yogan over in the chat. Both their names are written down here. So you have Wenjing and Yogan. If you have any questions, please do reach out to them over into the chat. As I said, we'll be sending over all the decks at the end of the event again, along with all of the contact emails to our panelists this evening. Thank you so much for this pitch. And next up, we have Sean. Sean, are you able to bring your camera up and to share your screen? Is that possible?
Yeah.
Hey, Sean, good to see you. Fantastic.
Okay, is everything as it should be?
Yeah, Sean, everything as it should be. You know how it runs. So our stage is your stage for the next 5 minutes, Sean, and over to you.
Thanks, Ben. It's good to be back and to see some familiar faces as well. I'm Sean Donnelly, co-founder of Roundups. We are in the middle of a 250k raise at a 1.25 pre-money valuation. I've decided today to talk through kind of the bigger picture of what we're trying to do and the future of giving that we want to build. And obviously, I'll be very happy to take sort of more specific questions about the raise and our plans in the Q&A. But as we all know, the way we consume information and communicate is getting faster and faster, as is the rate of that change. And it's hard to believe that things like Facebook and the iPhone are not much more than 15 years old, you know, and how much they've infiltrated our lives. So, I mean, if we want to order food, we don't even have to call the takeaway anymore. We just, in a few taps, get any type of food we want delivered by bicycle within 40 minutes. Similarly, if we're looking for love, we don't have to muster up the courage to chat someone up at a bar. We can just swipe through pictures until we find one that we like. So the way things have changed in just 15 years is pretty incredible. And the digital disruption that we've seen over the last 2 decades, it really is phenomenal. I love the Nokia example in this slide, because it's really not very long ago that we were all knocking around with 3310s playing Snake. And I don't know anybody who owns a Nokia now. But the common thread in recent times, in this recent digital transformation, is really about reduced attention span. And with the information overload that we're all exposed to every day, researchers are putting our attention span now around 8 seconds. And we believe that this is kind of underpinned by the information overload, like I've said, and for brands to cut through, they need to deliver and meet a certain experience benchmark. So they need to communicate with us in a way that's fast and highly personal, at a time that suits us, and they need to nurture relationships with us. And they need to do all of this from anywhere. And this combination delivers this kind of instant gratification world that we're living in, but it can very much build long-term brand affinity. Ultimately, we're very, very spoiled with the experiences that we have in this day and age. And all industries are adapting. You know, the biggest tech companies out there are the masters of delivering this experience. But when it comes to charities and fundraisers, they're falling behind. They're still sending out annual impact reports and long monthly emails that nobody's reading, newsletters and postcards that end up in the bin, and impersonal social posts that really struggle to cut through. And this insight was really brought home to us with a survey we conducted last year, where we asked people about their existing donation habits. And one of the things we asked was, how much do you care about knowing where your donations go and tracking your social impact? And around 90% of people said, 5 out of 5, I care a great deal, it's really important. But the very next question we asked, so, well, how do you track your social impact? And similar numbers of people said, I don't. And so this was really interesting to us. And we kind of saw it as a huge opportunity and a missed opportunity, really, by the sector. So our first product, Roundups, is an app that links with your card to round up all of your payments and donate pennies as you spend. And rounding up and donating is something that's existed in various guises, and various fintechs and companies have tried it. And it's all well and good, the round up and donate, that plumbing, which is fine, and it's a useful way to donate, and people quite like it. But what we're really interested in is that donating so often and having these frequent touch points and so much data gives charities the opportunity to begin to meet that experience benchmark. So with Roundups, we're going to help charities communicate quickly, personally, and at the perfect time and place. It's all about micro donations, micro altruism, micro moments that make you feel good. So for us, it's all about giving people the opportunity to track their social impact and feel good about making a difference, but in a way that's convenient and personal. So in the example on the screen here, you're tipping your donations beyond a certain threshold with Blue Cross, and we'll tell you that £4 that you've rounded up to this week was enough to provide treats for all the dogs in the shelter. There's no
last 1 minute, Sean.
Donations, no worries, or anything like that. It's just a good experience. And a lot of experts in this industry talk about putting donors at the heart of fundraising, and our belief is that the only way you can do that is make the experience for donors and about donors. So our form of giving is all about putting altruism everywhere. That's our core purpose. We want to make altruism a central part of our everyday lives instead of something that just happens passively in the background. And in doing so, we create stronger relationships with charities and supporters, leading to more donations for charities and an incredible sense of fulfillment for donors. Thank you for listening, and I would be happy to take your questions.
Thank you, Sean. Beautiful presentation, lovely slides. I will start this time with Liz, please.
Hi, thanks very much, Sean. Very, very interesting. Could you give us a little bit about where you are with the product?
Sure. I'm glad you asked.
Not the messages, but just practical, boring things, please.
Of course, yeah. We launched our web app in November. We have around 40 charities on board at the moment, including some of those big partners on the opening slide. We have 201 users on the platform, and we're also piloting out with schools this week as well. So a big part of our kind of distribution model is working with schools to help them with their fundraising.
And just very quickly, and financials, how do you just very quickly to your business model for actually making money? Sure,
yeah, it's a 5% transaction cost. So very simple for the moment.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Super. I'll go over to Sam.
Hi, Sean. Thanks for a great presentation. Yeah, like Sean and I have been in touch previously of regards to Roundup, so good to see you again. Something that I wanted to ask was, so I think, like, obviously you know that charities get like a lot of their fundraising from, like, you know, large donors and institutions, and do so privately, but then also do so hosting events and you know, like in person, you know, events and dinners, etc. And this platform is really looking like the target user, perhaps, of this platform is your everyday charity giver. I think the example that you used in the slide was really to donate your pennies, hence the name Roundups, I guess. Is that the case? Like, you're targeting really those users that give like small and often rather than like the big donors? And if that is the case, then is that still going to be solving that problem for charities with regards to fundraising?
Yeah, it is. You're absolutely right. It is about individual givers, and obviously charities take their income sources from a wide range. But ultimately, a very large percentage of people of charities' income comes from direct debit donations, or regular givers, as they call them. So that could be somebody who donates small amounts every month, or more often it's a direct debit setup. So Roundups really is another string to their bow. So if you're choosing between giving by direct debit, that's fine. Lots of people always continue to do that. But we feel like this is a more interesting way for charities and donors to build up that relationship and feel a sense of connection with the charity. Because at the moment, people donate and they might get a monthly newsletter that they don't read, or maybe they do, but they're not really having any sort of meaningful connection with the charity more often than not. And the sense of connection you get by going and volunteering at a local shelter or something like that, we believe can kind of be replicated by regular small amounts of communication. But to answer your question, yeah, it's another form of individual giving, absolutely. This is something that charities can push out in addition to their current offering. So the classic thing that we always say is we see charity websites in the future where they currently have give a one-off donation, or give monthly. They'll say give pennies as you spend. And then that's when we come into play and deliver that experience.
Yeah, great. Thank you. Thanks for that, Sean.
Fantastic. I'll go over next to Alice, please.
Hi. I think I've come across Roundups as well, like Sam, and I guess my biggest question was it's super interesting from the point of view of these charities, and you've got great ones on board, so that's a good sign. But ultimately, your business depends on the users. And so I was just wondering, how do you plan on acquiring individual users, so donors, essentially?
Yeah, no, it's a good question. It's the biggest thing for our business, of course. There's two sides to this. You're absolutely right. We need to get to a large critical mass for this to work and be profitable. Ultimately, we know that we can't go and acquire users through Facebook ads. We may as well just set fire to a wheelbarrow full of money, because our margins don't work and it's too expensive to acquire donors that way. It has to be something that our fundraisers push out. So it has to be something that they believe in and are willing to put resources behind. And of course, charities are run like businesses. They look for a solid return on investment. So something that we're doing right now is case studies with charities that show them that promoting Roundups to prospects and existing followers is something that's going to deliver a worthwhile return. So in the fundraising industry, there's something, the common benchmark is 6.28x return on investment. So some of our case studies at the moment involve charities pushing out roundups and promoting with paid ads and the channels that they usually use. Once they get donors on board, they can see the lifetime value, the prospective lifetime value of these donors. And once we're able to demonstrate to them it's at least 6x, then that gives them impetus to go back to their organizations and say, look, we need to put budget behind this. So that's a big part of what we're doing on one side of things. The other side of things is schools. So we help schools with their fundraising. And if you're a school where you would normally, the PTA might do a bunch of bake sales and raffles throughout the year, with roundups, they'll do all that stuff as well when they're able to, but they say to the parents, okay, let's, if you're up for it, you can donate pennies as you spend throughout the year, and then we'll build the music room or the playground at the end of the year with your donations. So the thinking behind going to schools on this other side of the business is that we can bring on one school in Harrow, for example, which is launching with us this week, make a roaring success of that and show them that it's a great way to raise money. But one school gives us access to anything between 200 and 1,000 parents, potentially, depending on the school size. So we make a roaring success of a school in a borough, then we go to the school up the road and say, look how great this was for them. And we spread through schools that way as well. So 2 areas of acquisition, broadly speaking. One is going through schools and working with them to bring on the parents as users, and the others is showing charities that it's a worthwhile thing to push on their end.
Thank you, Sean. Thank you, Alice. I'll go over next to John and Andrew, who've probably both met Sean before. So, John, do you want to go first?
Hi, Sean, thanks very much. That was really interesting. I suppose if I think of my own experience in terms of charities, I would give to charities because I trust the charitable organisation. It's not because of what they send me in terms of their newsletters and any emails or anything like that. And I would probably confess I don't read the vast majority that they send to me, but that's not because you know, I'm disinterested. It's just because I trust the charity. And I suppose that trust element has to be established before you would give to the charity. And I'm not sure if your product would add to that. You know, does that increase the level of trust, or does that, make a donation decision more likely or less likely? I'm not sure. So I suppose that was my first comment. My second comment would be around organisations like Moneybox, who are encouraging people to invest by using their pennies, and whether or not they could, I suppose, take over your marketplace by offering that service as alongside their investment service.
Yeah, okay. So on the trust issue, it's an interesting question. I don't see it as something, I don't see it as a kind of a negative reinforcement play. It's more about making it a more enjoyable experience, giving to charity and feeling more connected. So I wouldn't go to charity and say, look, this is going to make people trust you more. Although undoubtedly there's a lot of people who are cynical about charity and want to feel like it's doing something and they don't trust. There's a lot of mistrust out there, but that isn't kind of the angle we're coming at it from. But I take your point. It's not something that's been raised before, so that's quite interesting. On the point of Moneybox and everything like that, I'd go one further and say, forget Moneybox, Monzo, Revolut, the challenge banks could do this. And that was the single biggest reservation we had before starting this thing. Because if they did it, we almost become obsolete overnight. So I had lots of conversations with the likes of Barclays, people who've tried to bring things to banks, and people who are doing it, similar things at Revolut, someone who led it on charity at Revolut and got some insights. And ultimately, the first part of this is that it's not going to be a priority for them because it doesn't drive revenue or bring in new customers. So in a sense, they could take out some of our target market if they chose to do this, which is fine. But they're not going to prioritize it, so they're not going to come close to delivering that experience that we want to. So, and I heard a very good analogy from an investor the other day, actually, who said that people often raise this concern with Dropbox and Google Drive, as in Google Drive surely should wipe out Dropbox. And apparently people have said that, well, at Dropbox, cloud storage is number one priority, and at Google it's number 26. And that's why Dropbox can still exist. So I kind of liken that analogy to what we're doing.
Great, thanks very much. Good luck.
Thank you.
Hi, Sean. Hi, Sean. Hi again. I remember when I first saw you, I thought the best thing for this is to be super local, not to go and I'm sorry, I haven't how do you go about choosing your charities? First of all, that's the first question. How much DD do you do of the charity in terms of how much of your donation minus your 5% actually goes to the front line? So, you know, I'd be interested in your DD of the charities. And secondly, I truly think that this would be really powerful and gain trust of people and draw traffic to you if you became super local rather than getting involved in the big charities, basically, and taking on the comparatives. So just those two questions.
Yeah, okay. In terms of choosing charities, we started out by listing the main categories and trying to get at least one charity in each. We've done that, so that's good. In terms of due diligence, the Charity Commission do a good job of that, of making sure everything's above board. So I can't say that we go in and check all of those things. I could go into an ethical debate and a more detailed debate on how charities spend their funds, but I wouldn't say that a very common evaluation of charities is how much goes to projects and how much goes to administration. But if you're familiar with the industry, you will know that that isn't a good reflection of you know, the good that they achieve. It's a shortcut, and more often than not, it doesn't make sense. So I'm not so interested in showing those metrics at this stage, and our due diligence is very limited. We trust the Charity Commission to make sure that you know, the charities are acting as they should be. So there's not a huge amount of due diligence there, to be honest. In regards to the community side, I absolutely agree. That's partly why the schools route is so powerful, because there's nothing quite like feeling the impact of something that's happening up the road to you. And that's really behind the scenes where a lot of our focus will be, because we can get much more interesting and impactful stories for people from small local charities, because they can get that data more easily. And it feels really good to know that, you know, your donations are contributing to that community centre that is around the corner and that you see people making use of. So I fully agree with you on that. And that's a big part of what we're doing in schools. The crowdfunding side to it as well. So any fundraiser, but particularly the community ones, they can put a target on it and you follow the progress throughout the year. So the school example, they're raising £8,000 to build a new music room. The parents see the progress throughout the year. They see the contributions that they've made, and they get impact updates from the kids. So when they reach 50%, the school band will send a video through the app saying to celebrate that they've reached 50%, which is really impactful as well.
How with schools and parents, how are you getting around GDPR issues?
In what sense specifically?
So basically, a school will say, "Look, we're going to be using roundups for this campaign." It's that way, rather than them giving you data of their parent, of PTA, etc. Yeah,
but everyone would have to sign up as they ordinarily would. So each school has its own link. So there's one live at the moment, roundups.org/St Anselm's, and if you go to there and you sign up through that process, you're supporting that school. So in terms of, are you thinking about images of children and things like that from the school? The school will okay all of that. It's images that they would have on their website and things like that. So they have their own processes in place, which, as you can imagine, are very strict in the first place. But as for users coming from our side, they have to agree to our terms and conditions and privacy policy. Okay.
Have you used gamification in terms of trying to roll this out?
We thought about it. From what we have seen and what we believe, I can't say I have hard data to back this up, but people are much more interested in tangible things that donations are doing rather than a badge. So we're trying to focus on showing them this has done this in concrete terms.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much there, Sean. Fantastic. Long-term member with Othership, a business that we really support and hope to see going further forward in the future. Sean, we've talked many times about how to put it in with Othership, and I think that's something that we have to do in the future. So great pitch. Thank you very much, and the best of luck with the round. I'll also say Sean, as one of our members of the community, told me one of the best tips ever for going and doing fundraising So thank you very much for that, Sean. If you come to our networking events and hang out in our Slack group, that's the advantage when you have a network of other freelancers, founders. We share tips across the community with each other. So thank you very much for that one, Sean.
No worries. Cheers, Ben.
So we have last up tonight, a company called Subly. It's Holly Stevens who'll be pitching. Holly, are you able to bring your screen up and your video up, and we can spotlight you up on the screen?
Can you see that, Ben? I think it's loading.
It is loading. It will come up in a second. I'm going to try and find your video for me, Holly, so I can spotlight you. AJ, if you're able to find Holly, could you spotlight her? There we go. Fantastic.
Thanks, guys. Okay, then. So,
Holly, it's just a black screen at the moment.
It's what, sorry?
It's a black screen at the moment.
1 second. Has that appeared yet, Ben?
That hasn't actually, Holly.
I had this challenge last week on another call.
I'll tell you what I might be able to do. It's not going to be ideal for you, Holly, but I might be able to bring it up from my screen. That's not gonna work. There we go. Holly, it's not going to be ideal for you, but would you like me to share it from my screen and tell me when you want me to turn?
Sure, let's do that then. Did it not appear at all?
No, it didn't at all.
Okay, let's go for it then.
Okay.
Checking you've got the right one, might be an old one. That's the only thing. I can go with it. I can go with it.
It's 30 slides, so you're gonna have to clock me.
I'm gonna have to. You've got an old one, so I'll try with that one.
Okay, right.
I'll skip a lot of slides.
Sorry, you're welcome to try and share your screen again, but I'm just slightly wary that it definitely didn't come up there. There we go. I'm going to hide all my video controls, so give me 1 more second so I can get your screen up as best as possible. Apologies for this, everybody, but I think this is the best way. Okay, Holly, tell me when you want me to turn. It's yours.
Okay, thanks, Ben. I'm the founder of Subly, and I led marketing for multiple products at Google and tech startups, and I've also had my own marketing agency. I'm going to tell you why 40,000 people had the same problem that I experienced, why they moved to Subly to transcribe and add subtitles to their videos, and how we signed a deal with LinkedIn all in under 1 year. Next slide, please, Ben. 85% of videos are watched on mute. When you add subtitles, it increases engagement by 80%. It's also a legal requirement for companies to add them. It's more important than ever during COVID-19, as many companies and teams have gone online. However, the process is really time consuming, it's costly, and you need the skills to do it. And when you have to add translation on top of that, it's even more complex. Next slide, please, Ben. Subly is the solution. Subly is a SaaS platform where you simply upload a video, and within seconds, the video and audio is transcribed automatically. It's easily editable, and the subtitles are added to video to download. We support 31 languages. It's easy to use, it's affordable, and no skills are required, and can be used by creators all the way to enterprises. Next slide. We launched only a year ago to the public, and we've had exponential growth. We've gone from 0 to now we're actually 40,000 users now, and we have a growth rate of 21% month on month. And our current monthly recurring revenue is £7,000 in just 3 months since switching on subscriptions. And we're expecting to hit that 100,000 recurring revenue by the end of the year when we go into enterprise. We also signed a deal with LinkedIn Global, where we're the only transcription and translation partner, and they buy our service for their 6,000 enterprises. We already have 2,000 educational institutions on board, 4,000 enterprises signed up. The others are made up of creators and small businesses. Next slide, please, Ben. It's both SMB agencies and enterprise that are using us, from marketing teams to some of the Fortune 500 companies and their events teams that are using us. Some of those called out are LinkedIn's content team, The Canon events team, that all their events have gone online, so everything's completely subtitled and translated. And on top of that, also, we've also received grants from Innovate UK because we are helping those that are hard of hearing and helping others reach areas of content that they wouldn't have before. There's just a highlight of just some of the enterprises that are using us. Next slide. And as I've mentioned, that it's also SMEs. A lot of people have found out about us through our community. They love our product. It's super viral because it's Subly, watermark is on their videos. And so it's really it's very much a referral viral method. And everyone finds out about us on Google as well and through recommendations. And all of our community said that they'd be really disappointed if Subly no longer existed. Next slide. And it's a big picture for Subly. We're not just a SaaS platform that you might see to date. It's really going from an SMB and creator tool all the way to enterprise. So we're building these building blocks of the Subly ecosystem where we maintain data and security, as well as really building on that brand too. Next slide, please, Ben. And we're the team to make it happen. My background's in marketing. Kevin, my co-founder, we used to work together before we built this company. And we have a team that's completely remote, based around the world. We've either worked together or they've been in this part of the business before. And our advisors are the ex-CEO of Clear Channel Media and head of media of Vodafone. Next slide, please, Ben. And there are competitors in this space, but we're really taking the first mover advantage on this one. From everything from Veed and Subtitle being focused on social media, Simon Says and Caption Hub being focused on enterprises. We don't see YouTube or Adobe as a competitor right now, as YouTube isn't secure for enterprise, and that's where we want to be heading. Next slide. I'll skip to a few more slides through, Ben, just to get to the funding round. Next slide. Yeah, thank you. You go back one slide.
Last minute.
Yeah, so I'll just quickly cover on where we're at in terms of our round. So we're raising 750K at the moment. It's EIS eligible. We've already now received commitments of 600K. 450K of that is already closed. And so there's allocation now between 300 and 200K for investors to come on board. And we do have a lead investor in this round. So we're closing this in the next couple of months. I'd really love it if more investors would reach out in this community, but the best way that you can help is that you can recommend Subly to creators, freelancers that you work with, and any teams within the enterprise space that could use Subly too. Thanks so much, guys, and I look forward to your questions. And sorry for the mix-up with the slides.
Great, these things happen. Holly, fantastic pitch, well delivered anyway. Sorry if I skipped too far a couple of times.
No, all good, all good. I had to quicken up a little bit. Too many slides.
I'm going to start off this time with Sam, please.
Sorry, there's some sirens. Sorry, there's some just sirens going past me. Yeah, fantastic pitch and really good looking product. So thank you for that. My question, and I know you did touch on it a little bit in your presentation, but is around how you differ from other products that are out there in the market. I know you said that you got first mover advantage. I'm not sure what the other platforms usership and background is like, but yeah, just expand a little bit on that. Thank you.
Sure, thanks so much, Sam. Yeah, so in terms of the competitor space at the moment, where we're at in terms of the release that we've had for Subly is we have 4 different tiers to Subly. We have the free and we have the pro, premium, and enterprise. And free is that freemium package. So we have a lot of social media executives using us or freelancers, and then Subly Pro, which is the next tier up. And why I wanted to mention that is because that's where our product's currently geared towards, and that's where the competitors currently are. Veed is a really well-known tool, headliner for podcasters. There's a few others that are out there, but they're really focused on social media or podcasting or for single users. But where we really want to be is a business and enterprise tool. It's our focus. It's always been from day one, but we decided to start on the earliest way we could get to market and that viral method of Subly. And so we targeted just everyone and just wanted to find out our customer segment first. But to get businesses takes a longer time, and it's a lot more of longer lead time. So in terms of that competitor space, in terms of competition, you're probably looking at something like Otter AI, Didn't mention it in the presentation. It's more of a transcription tool for meetings, but they could potentially go into that market for video. And then you've also got Simon Says and Caption Hub. Now, some of the enterprises and those use it for translation. Otter isn't used for translation either. They don't use it for video as much either. But those tools that do the translation, and they also would have some minimal video editing as well, are both of those tools that I mentioned. But actually we have higher clicks on our website, around 10 times as many as Simon Says and Caption Hub, and they've been going for many years before us, maybe like 5 years on top of us. So we're already kind of that first mover advantage instead of for translation of where those main players aren't really playing. And in terms of like YouTube and Adobe is you need skills in order to do it still. And with YouTube, it's not suited for a business and enterprise. If you have a secure product launch or you want to share between different teams, you wouldn't use it for that. It's a social media tool. So I hope that answers it, Sam.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you very much, Holly. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'll go next to Alice, please.
Hi, Holly. Super excited to see the traction you guys have already got. You guys seem to be at a super exciting stage of your business. I guess the question that I had was just to get a breakdown of this round's funding. Where would the funding go towards?
Sure. Thanks, Alice. And I think we've met before on one of the other other pitch events, I think. So with this funding round at the moment, it's committed from 2 VCs, the funding, 1 strategic investor, and the rest is made up of angels at the moment. So the more investors that come on board, there could be VCs or angels. How that's made up for in terms of spend, this is really towards our marketing efforts now. We've paid nothing on marketing. We've done no paid marketing to date. It's all been referrals and the community really being advocates of our product. It does help having that Subly watermark on all our videos. So it's really 25% of this round is on paid marketing and also kind of PR and some of those marketing efforts. It's also to hire some more into the marketing team. We currently have 1 full-timer and 1 intern. And it's also for our machine learning development as well. So they're the main roles that we'll be recruiting. It will be adding in another marketing person at the end of the year and some more developers towards the end of the year as well. But it's really to maintain that cash flow for the next 12 to 18 months. So we can keep offering the product for free, keep getting more users, and then we can start to really hope those premium and enterprise solutions that we've been selling finally convert, as we know they have a longer lead time.
Great, thanks, Holly. Good luck with your fundraise, and yeah, hopefully keep in touch.
Thank you, Alice.
Thank you very much. I'll go next to Liz, please.
Hi, Holly. Thanks very much. Obviously you covered a lot in your 5 minutes. Well done. So I think my 2 questions have been stolen by the previous members of the panel. But could you expand? When you're raising this round, are you going to increase, for example, get non-executives on your board, people who are maybe experienced in rolling out these types of products?
Yeah, so a really good question, Liz. Thank you so much. We already have a really good advisor network already. So these are both kind of the CEO of Clear Channel that I mentioned, the ex-of Vodafone. We don't pay them in terms of shares, but they invested. So they're also there to we can always kind of go to them for advice. And we do that with all our investors. We don't just, for this round, we don't just want investors to give us money. It's that they can contribute as well. And we also, one of our investors is loyal.vc, and they have over 50 advisors within the network that we can tap into. So there won't be any non-execs this round. That we'd probably be looking to do that for Series A and building that board around us.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
I'll go next to Andrew, please.
Hi, Holly. You mentioned 750 you're raising. At what valuation?
3.4 million.
Okay. And I'm an investor in a little company called Myriad, which is actually quoted. Have you come across them?
No, I haven't heard of them. It'd be good to have some information about them, Andrew.
Yeah, go and look them up. They're quoted. They're quite a small company, but they're quite involved in this space. They're able to digitally place ads on historic video streaming, anything basically, similar business. So how defensible do you think your position is currently?
Yeah, that's a really good point around kind of placing ads on some of the existing content. We're not an ad network, even though I've got a bit at Google, I know all about the ad network there, but we're not an ad network at all. So that's the first point to kind of cover off. And your second point was around defensibility, did you say, Andrew?
Yeah.
Yeah, our defensibility is really built around that. What we have now as a solution is a really easy solution to add subtitles onto video. Our defensibility will be around the building blocks of the Subly ecosystem. So one of those building blocks is then building it out for business and enterprise. Those users are more sticky, and so they will stay with us, that we hope. And that's why we really want to kind of go into the B2B area as well. And then on top of that, per user and per organization, we have machine learning within our product. And so we will learn per user of all the changes that they're making. So kind of the NLP around our product as well.
Mm.
And an organizational level, we'll learn from the products that they mention, and it's based on the organization too. So if a user does leave our platform, we've lost the data of that user. So it's in the user's best interest to stay within our product as we start to build out more features that's going to benefit them to make it more accuracy, and it's going to be more quick to download and to subtitle videos.
And how are the changes that are occurring, instigated by Apple, which are obviously starting to impact Facebook, potentially going to be impacting you?
In what sort of changes?
Well, the changes in terms of data capture, in terms of personal data capture, etc.
So within all of this, I'm not too sure on the kind of that area around the data capture from Apple or Facebook. But it's all within our network. It's all highly secure, if that's what you're referring to.
Okay. Thank you.
And John.
Hi, Holly. Thanks very much. Hiya. In terms of rounds of funding, you're obviously closing a round just now. How do you see the financing of the company in the future? Are you seeing this as a one-off? Are you seeing yourself raising money again in 6 or 12 months? Or what do you see the funding out landscape?
Sure. Thanks so much, John. A really good question. So with us, we did our pre-seed round actually at the start of 2020, and we closed that one pretty successfully. And then on top of that, then this is our next round now. I'd say it's really a pre-seed plus seed round to get us to the next stage of growth, because we did not expect that rapid growth that we'd get through COVID-19 as everyone went online. So now what it really means to us is that we could potentially break even by July of this year based on our current revenue figures. But for us, it's really deploying those funds straight back into the business. So we know that we want to grow at a rapid rate as we have been doing, but in the right way. So we're not just spending money everywhere. And so it does mean that we'd likely be going for a Series A in January of 2022, and that's what I've planned for.
Okay, thanks very much. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Holly. I was really excited the first time I saw the presentation. I am this time. It's exciting to see a company on a very similar trajectory to ourselves, and maybe we should catch up at some point about our journeys.
Thank you, Ben.
Really exciting to see. Thank you so much. I'm sorry, everyone, that we've overrun a bit this evening, but I hope it was worth it to have that extra panelist on board tonight to be able to present your businesses to. 6 wonderful pitches. Thank you so much. I'm always so proud to see everyone who comes through the Othership community, both as investors, the partners that we work with, and also the founders and freelancers that build these businesses together. It's really impressive. Big thank you to AJ. I'm going to spotlight AJ and embarrass her just for one moment, who is my wonderful co-host. She manages all our events. If you come to our networking session, she is there. She's been posting all the links. Thank you so much, AJ. I know you're shy for this. Everyone have a wonderful evening. We will see you soon. Go and check your inboxes. We will have dropped you an email if you'd registered and signed up to hear more from us. And really amazing to see such a great turnout in January. We'll be running this every month throughout the year. Please register. Everyone who is taking a pitching spot, they are sold out for next month, so get in for March while you can. They do go quickly once we start promoting them out on social, along with AIN and Seed Eagles. So have a wonderful night. Thank you to our panelists, Andrew, Liz, Sam, John, and Alice, who had to just jump off after her last question, but you can catch Alice in our Slack group. Have a wonderful evening. Take care.